I told you I wasn't a fool, Pliskin. Call me Snake. I'm Liam, he's Rob, and this week we take a long overdue look back at 1981's depressingly prescient Escape from New York. More post-Vietnam Watergate cynicism than all-out action movie, this is probably more of a vibey character piece than you remember. But when that character happens to be the ludicrously iconic Snake Plissken, well, that's just fine with me. More concerned with mood, tone, and its wonderfully eclectic supporting cast and delivering memorable set pieces, John Carpenter's Escape from New York might not scale the heights of his finest work, but it remains an unforgettably unique slice of low-budget, lo-fi sci-fi filmmaking. Now, for me, I don't have the same attachment to this film that I do to, say, They Live, Big Trouble, Halloween, The Thing, etc. But it remains maybe his most iconic character. And when I say Carpenter's most iconic character, Snake Plissken might be one of the most iconic characters in movie history.
I agree with you about him being the most iconic. You got the eye patch, you got the luxurious hair.
Oh, luxurious.
The weird leather, maybe not leather, really tight vest.
I took it as lycra.
Lycra, good. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'll backtrack. The lycra vest, the guns that make absolutely no sense. The silenced scoped Uzi. The kick on that thing has to be, you don't need a scope or a silencer.
Yeah,
it's insane.
So much of this film doesn't make sense because, when I think about that, this movie, and the movie is good, make no mistake. But what most people remember about this movie is Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken, and I do genuinely think of him as being one of the coolest cinematic characters of all time. You think Han Solo. I always think of Kaneda from Akira. I'm not sure if it's everyone's cup of tea. Maybe the dude from The Big Lebowski, Tyler Durden from Fight Club, Shaft. For an older gentleman, James Bond, perhaps. Yeah. He's up there as one of the most iconic, certainly one of the coolest characters of all time. But the fact is, for the point you just made there, he really shouldn't be able to pull this off. His hair is so ridiculously luxurious. It's so bouncy and blow-dried. He's wearing a lycra top with combat shorts and kind of knee-high boots. His gun, while half cool, is also certainly half complete nonsense, and he's got a snake tattoo on his stomach.
That snake tattoo is.
He should be lame. He should be fucking lame. But Kurt Russell just makes him the best.
So I agree with you. Kurt Russell makes him the best. But what I think is doing a lot of the heavy lifting around the snake character is the actual narrative and everyone around him. Not the rumor, the legend of Snake Plissken. Everyone's oh,
how famous is this guy?
He's apparently super famous. He's a war hero. Famous. Everyone. I mean, to be fair, if you described him, you'd pick him out of the street. So the cabbie noticing him straight away is I agree with it.
In fairness, I guess if you see one picture of Snake Plissken, you're like, I'm gonna, and you read his name as Snake Plissken, you arguably don't even have to be that famous. You're like, I'm gonna fucking remember that guy.
Yeah. What I wanted to go back to was what you said about this film. You said that. The budget and everything else. I had a question watching this because low budget and kind of like guerrilla filmmaking for a while. My question is, does it hold up? As we watch now, I enjoyed it as a kid. Like I said to you last week, I can't remember whether I said it on or off pod, but my first introduction to Snake was LA. Yeah. So whereas that film is not good and it's basically this film again, I have a soft spot for LA. Not so much as I'm going to force you to watch it yet. But I not thoroughly. I have a soft spot. I enjoyed it. Whether I go back and watch it now and enjoy it is because I haven't seen it for ages.
That's a whole nother matter.
Yeah, I haven't seen this film for a while, and as I went back, I'm trying to think: does it hold up now? And I had it absolutely holds up if you're looking at the world building, the mood, and of course the iconic characters, Duke. We've already mentioned Snake, Cabby to a point, Brain, okay, Harry Dean Stanton doing his best. But it's going to feel slow or small when you look at the action, the pace against big action, modern pacing and blockbuster spectacles that we get now.
This is a movie of its time in so many respects.
I still think it's not on the scale of Assault on Precinct 13, which I think is a better film, but I think for me personally, it does hold up with just a few
Caveats.
missteps. Yeah, just caveats. So, such as, like I said, the score. Some of the score doesn't really fit for me. The action feels clunky,
Yeah,
and
that I agree with.
yeah, and then I don't know what they were doing. Is like obviously the gun work. A lot of it felt like they were shooting cap guns, and it just
Yeah,
felt a
yeah,
bit
which comes back
off.
to the budget. No,
Yeah,
I totally agree with you. And we've talked about this before with certain movies. I think I always used, even though it's a very different movie, The Breakfast Club is a perfect
yeah,
example. A movie that I watched at like the perfectly wrong time. That's a weird way to kind of structure that sentence, but you see what I mean. It's like I
yeah,
watched it when it wasn't that old, and when I was like just turning, say, 20, and I watched this movie, and instead of feeling like retro cool or kind of like nostalgic, it just felt old and kind of lame because,
yeah,
back like around what, 99, 2000, I'm suddenly watching movies like American Pie, and you suddenly go back and watch, Breakfast Club. Everything feels slow, a little bit too quaint. And I'd make the argument that I actually probably watched this movie at the wrong time because when I was younger, we grew up with movies, predominantly from like, the mid to late 80s kind of thing. Those were our
yeah,
bread and butter,
yeah.
kind of 83, 84 onwards. This was like 81, and even the poster, despite the fact that the character was really cool, I remember when I was younger thinking that it looked old-fashioned.
Yeah.
It just looked like an older film. And of course, if you
Well,
watch this, especially if you watch this on like VHS or something like that, or even on a kind of bang average DVD, this movie looks both its age and its budget to a certain extent.
yeah. And I mean, case in point, last week when you said 81, I was shocked because I
Mhm,
know it's
mhm.
only a couple of years, but I could have sworn this was mid to late 70s.
I can get that, but
Yeah.
that's the thing. Watching
And it's
it
the argument
now,
that you always make. Early 80s, if it's still carried on from the 70s, like the 80s don't start until 85, the 90s don't start until 95, 96.
well, this is
So,
this is. I've actually got. I was thinking about that when I was watching this movie. That traditionally, as we've mentioned on this podcast, that kind of culturally, the 80s, and this isn't a perfect science, obviously, and this is a case in point. But for the most part, the 80s really started around 83, 84. And when I always think about it, I always think of Rambo because I think of Rambo
uh,
releasing in 82, still feeling like a 70s movie, and then Rambo First Blood Part 2 comes out in like 85 and feels like it might as well be from like 3 decades later. It's a completely different movie, and you can see how like the tone of cinema and blockbuster movie making has completely changed. Now, this movie, in some parts, like you say, aesthetically feels like a 70s movie, and I think part of that is down to the budget and the fact that Isaac Hayes is in it, which just feels 70s as fuck to me. When
yeah.
anyone who's driving around in a car with a chandelier and a disco
Chandeliers
ball,
on.
I'm like, well, dude, that's pretty fucking 70s. But then it does go to show that John Carpenter, in many ways, ushered in the 80s as we know it from a culture perspective. Like his score, which was so unique in 80s. And I know what you mean, it does age the film. But to bring it back to my previous point, watching this now, we're so far removed from it. Instead of feeling chintzy or lame, it feels charming as fuck.
I
It's
mean, I,
so of its time, and you have to accept that. But it's
yeah.
so kind of distinct, like that synthwave sound. You couldn't put that in a movie and an advert or anything of that ilk now without kind of winking constantly at the camera, like, oh, look,
No,
the
I
80s.
totally
Whereas here, it's
agree.
played straight.
I totally agree. And I think, although I said it kind of has its moment,
No,
it
no, I get
really
it.
holds up when he's flying the glider. When
Yep.
you've got the electro synth is working perfectly, when
Mm-hmm.
you've got the futuristic X screens of the glider.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
looking in the glider, and you've got, and I mean, for all intents and purposes, it could be that he's about to enter the Tronverse, as it were,
It
at that
does
point.
have a Tron vibe
So,
for sure.
yeah, so I'm not going to just shit on the score. I just think
No, no, no.
certain
I don't think
points.
you were.
No, but what I
Sorry.
mean is, at certain points, I don't think the score holds up against what's going on screen.
Oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. See,
Yeah,
I just kind of I associate this movie so much with the score that I just see a part that it's like I didn't even think to be critical about it. Like I totally
yeah,
get where you're coming from. I totally appreciate it. But like when I hear the score, I'm just oh yeah, this is Escape from New York. Whether it works in like a modern setting, I have no idea. But as for the aesthetics, which you referred to, I think so much of what works is down to the production design by I'm sure it's Joe Alves. I think is the name of the production design on this film. And one of the reasons that, sure, some of it is aged better than others. We are talking about a film from 1981 with a relatively low budget. You think about like something like Terminator, which was cutting edge for its time, but it was also low budget. And as
yeah.
great as that film is, there are elements of it where it's just like, okay, I can see that this film was made in the 80s.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
what kind of papers over the cracks, if that's a fair way to put it, is his wonderful work with like matte paintings and practical effects. You know, the set design, I actually bought into the idea that we were in Manhattan. It's like,
Yeah.
when you see Air Force One in that crash sequence, like one of my favorite sequences in the film isn't like an action set piece. It's not a chase scene. It's just Snake Plissken just cutting about New York when he lands initially. And you got the score in the background, and it's just him walking about with that ludicrous gun, which makes no sense, but looks awesome. I'm just like, yep, this is the
Does
movie
look
I want to
awesome.
see.
But to attach a barrel of that size to an Uzi
I
seems
knew who's he.
insane.
It's not just. It's like a humongous scope and the biggest silencer I've ever seen of all time.
Yeah.
You're just like, is that an Uzi? That doesn't make any. But this is the era, and this obviously set it all off because this led into many movies in the 80s where you get like basically handguns with giant scopes on them. Was
Yeah.
it
Or if not a giant
Cobra?
scope, a Cobra, yeah, or
Yeah,
a laser scope, or you
of
do both.
course.
What I do like, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I've always loved in these type of films a kit up scene. Now,
Oh yeah,
we don't necessarily get him kitting up. He already walks out
close,
of the room.
close. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, as he's surveying his equipment, he's seeing
Mhm,
ninja stars. You go into
Again, if
a
you need
mission
that
trip, you
little,
need a ninja star.
if you want that reminder that this film has at least one foot in the 80s, when he looks at the tape and sees a ninja star, I'm like, oh yeah, this is the 80s. This is
Yeah,
definitely the fucking
all he was
80s.
missing was like a sigh or something as well.
Yeah, it was so
It was
cool. It was like
yeah.
again one of those perfect moments where like this should be dumb, but it's just not. It's just
Do
fucking
you
cool as hell.
do you think Escape from New York and Escape from LA? Do you think he's got a problem with his eye? Or at one point he thought, if I wear an eye patch, I'll become legendary?
I
And
wouldn't be surprised if it's the
that's
last.
what I mean.
It
So
feels like Isaac Hayes is preparing for it. Like that
yeah,
was Isaac Hayes' whole performance as the Duke was just like every so often I'm just gonna have a twitchy eye. That's just gonna be my thing. I'm like, all right, cool, I guess. He kind of pulls off because he's Isaac fucking Hayes, but it's a strange character choice. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he pulled up the patch and you just had two working eyes. But it's
yeah.
just like,
You expect to see some weird like pussy milky thing or a missing
yeah,
eye
yeah,
or anything like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And it's just like one good eye, absolutely fine.
I
Okay,
love
no,
the
like
idea that like one of the scenes, just the eye patches on the other eye, and we just don't
yeah,
even
I
bring it
would
up.
love that. I
Like this, like you've got to remember, right? We give him a free pass because he fucking looks like Kurt Russell. He's got like Kurt Russell. We mentioned about the idea that this is like the coolest character in cinema history. I think he's genuinely like in the conversation for coolest character of all time. Kurt Russell is undoubtedly in the conversation for greatest movie hair of all time, and that is just Kurt Russell, full stop.
it's
And
Kurt Russell's hair.
yeah, Kurt Russell's hair
Yeah.
is the best movie hair ever. And I think this might be the best example of Kurt Russell's hair. It's like it's mesmerizing in this
I'm
film.
gonna I'm gonna throw a little spanner for that and say
Oh,
I
here we go.
actually
Here we
think
go.
like we've already said Big Trouble in Little China, his hair's great in that. But I love his hair in the Christmas Chronicles where he plays Santa
It
Claus.
is good. No, you
It
are
is
right.
when he's got the grey beard and
He looks
the
great.
grey hair. It looks like that's a quaff, man. That is fucking fantastic.
There are a lot of women out there with like weird sex things about Santa who watch that
Yeah.
film and are like, yeah, that's the one
Oh,
I was thinking
and
of.
that Santa is DTF as well. That Santa is raring to go.
100%. No,
Yeah.
you are right. His hair in this is utterly magnificent. But if there is competition, bizarrely, you are 100% right. It's Santa Claus. His hair in
Yeah.
that film is so goddamn good. But yeah, his hair across the board is amazing. But like I said, it's like, he's constantly smoking. This is the greatest advert for cigarettes of all time, like without
Fucking
question.
hell yes.
I haven't smoked for like months, and I'm watching this film. I'm like, God damn, man! I'm thinking about getting a Cobra tattoo and a pack of 20 Marlboro Lights. I'm thinking about
So
it.
you're gonna get a Cobra tattoo. Like it's sorry to because you said that.
No,
And
go for
I
it.
didn't mean to. Cobra tattoo.
Mhm.
Is it wrapping around his lower half? Do you reckon?
I mean, it's what I was
It's
thinking.
got to be having. It's got to go down, just meet his dick, go around his ass, go around the leg or something.
Is it
It's gotta
going
be
up
wrapping.
like? Well, the thing is, if you're going for a tattoo which is just going down towards the kind of pubic patch, like where does it stop?
Yeah.
It's an interesting question and one I don't necessarily need answered. But this is a character. We already mentioned the fact that his character really shouldn't work. Anyone who insists on being, like the line I used in the opening quote is like, call me Snake. Anyone who tells anyone to call me Snake is usually a dick. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you should be lame. It's just the greatest quandary of this film is the fact that you're watching it and everything about him is telling you that this character should be tragic. Instead, Kurt Russell miraculously makes it work. And it's just a shame. It just makes me think, like, if they hadn't botched, and I know you mentioned earlier that you had a soft spot for Escape from LA. but I think we can all
Not in
decide
any
whether
way,
it be
shape,
the
or
box
form
office.
saying it's great.
No,
I had
no.
a soft spot for it.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can clearly, and thinking about that now, because that's more in my memory. I
Mhm,
think I said it last week as well. That film,
mhm.
it's they're the same fucking film.
But it
They are the
loses
exact
all
same
the
film.
kind of political cynicism. Like this is almost like a dark comedy at times. And again, I haven't seen it for a long time, but I felt like at the time that beyond the kind of aesthetic issues that that movie has, I felt like it lost all of the nuance that this film has. Like this movie, every time you watch it, you pick up something new. And as we've already kind of alluded to, one of the reasons this movie works, Snake is a one-note character. Him on his own, it wouldn't kind of necessarily carry a movie. But when you've got like Lee Van Cleef as Hawk, Harry Dean Stanton's Brain, Isaac Hayes the Duke, Donald Pleasance giving a bizarre performance as the president,
Yeah.
Ernest Borgnine as the cabbie, Adrienne Barbeau and her fantastic breasts as Maggie. Frank Doubleday he's like legitimately the Boba Fett of this
Oh,
movie.
Romero.
Yeah, super
Fucking,
memorable. When he
that
dies,
dude,
you're just like,
yeah.
I can't believe he went out like that. He's too cool to die.
It's because he's oozing cool on the screen. The way he walks when he first goes up to Lee Van Cleef, like
Also,
that
great
walk,
hair. Great
the
hair.
fantastic hair. But then he dies so unceremoniously, and
Yeah.
he doesn't do anything to prove that he should be a fantastic second in command. Like if you watch this
He
film
just,
now,
he just looks cool. Like
yeah,
that's the Boba Fett thing. Like obviously we've seen a million things since, but when you watch Return of the Jedi, or as you refer to it as Star Wars 3,
Star Wars 3.
it's like when he died, like you see the character, like he's so cool. Like he popped up in Empire Strikes Back, but then he just dies immediately and just like he hasn't actually done anything to back up his
gets
reputation.
swallowed by the big sandworm thing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And no, I'm not trying to
No, it's
rage bait anybody.
listen, no. I appreciate, you're not a big Star Wars fan. I wasn't expecting you to get Sarlacc Pit, but I was planning on getting ahead of you on the whole Star Wars 3 thing.
So we have to get in. So I'm on record. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, as you know. We've watched them on this podcast. I haven't been the greatest, should we say, supporter of the films.
Mm-hmm.
But my 6-year-old has really gotten into it lately. Played the Lego Star Wars films. He's Lego Star Wars games. Sorry, he's really enjoyed. He's got Lego Star Wars. So we've gone back and we've watched Star Wars. New Hope, I believe.
New Hope, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did that one, and then last week, and I texted you on Sunday to say we watched Star Wars 2, and you got very mad at me because I called it Star Wars 2, Empire Strikes Back. But I also learned from that film that I don't know if I want to show my son any more Star Wars films because his favorite color is red, so he just wants to side with the Sith.
With Darth Vader. Well, at least Darth Vader does have a redemptive arc. Spoiler alert for Return. Oh, wait, have we covered Return of the Jedi on the podcast?
We have done Return.
We've done
them all. We've done them all. Yeah.
We haven't done episodes. Bizarrely, we haven't done episode 2. I think that's the only one of like the 6 kind of, the
right.
main...
Help me now. 2 for me is still Star Wars 2, The Return.
Okay. So we've done episode 1, is in episode 1, The Phantom Menace. We've done. We did episode 3.
Oh, the weird fucking space opera. We're gonna sit down and talk for hours.
Yeah, that was episode 3. Yeah.
And we haven't done the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's we haven't done the second movie. Attack of the Clones, the second movie.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, episode 2. It all gets very confusing. And to be honest, I don't think I want to go back and watch that. I think we talked about this before. If we were likely to go back and do Star Wars movies, we're much more likely to go back and do Solo, a Star Wars story, because we both have a bit of a soft spot for that film.
Yeah,
and, we think it was
and Rogue One.
Which we both agree is absolutely fantastic. But I don't think I'm ready to go. Although I did rewatch. Sorry, this has turned into a Star Wars sidebar here. I did go back and rewatch the Phantom Menace, The Force Awakens for the first time in a while. I feel exactly the same as always. Like for 45, maybe an hour, that movie is genuinely good and everything it needed to be. The second half of that movie is so derivative. And I know that's not new news. I felt about that way when I watched it at the cinema. But I thought maybe, it's different when you go in watching a movie without expectations. It's like 8 years since I've seen it. I was literally angry with the second half of the film, except for the scenes where Han Solo, isn't it? And anything with Kylo Ren. But the structure of the second half of the film is just like, really? This is what we're going for?
We will be watching them because he keeps asking me when Rey is coming into it. So at some point we will be watching them.
Oh, I'll be so interested to see if he sides with Kylo Ren as well. So
yeah. So I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring it back to this now because you mentioned all those characters.
Can I mention one thing very quickly? Where just want to mention the characters.
Yeah.
Were you a little bit upset that Tom Atkins didn't get more of a role in this film?
That's literally where I'm going.
Okay, there we go.
That is literally you mentioned all the characters, and it was
Yeah.
really weird to see Michael Hunsucker in this. You know, yeah, I got a his Lethal Weapon character, Danny Glover's best Vietnam friend,
Yeah.
and I don't know, he just became like Mister, like the messenger boy.
He was just a
Everything was
background
just,
guy.
but
Like
he
you
was he
see
was
him with like Lee Van Cleef at the start, and you're like, oh, this is going to be like a two-handed. They're going to be like the two important military guys.
yeah.
And then don't be wrong, I have no issue with Lee Van Cleef taking the lead because Lee Van
No,
Cleef
no, but
is
Tom Atkin,
fantastic.
Atkin, whatever his name is, I think he needed a bigger role
Yeah,
because
I agree.
basically most of his character, whenever you see him, he's running to tell
Mhm. Yeah,
Hawk, whatever it is.
Hawk, yeah.
He's running to tell him something. Oh, this has happened. So he's just
Mhm.
like a glorified messenger boy. You think he's going to get more of a piece when he's showing all the weapons,
Mhm.
but then you just see him in the background turn right and walk away, and you
Yeah,
don't see him
it's
for a
weird.
while then as they walk towards the camera.
Yeah,
And
it's odd, and as I said, it's like I have no issue with Lee Van Cleef being the lead because that's a clear and unsubtle nod to the whole idea of Snake as Clint Eastwood's the man with no name. It's like Lee
yeah,
Van Cleef is most for most people they think of him as from the spaghetti westerns, like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and it's clearly a nod to that. And despite it being an unsubtle nod, he is genuinely fantastic as we'll just call him Hawk.
yeah.
But yeah, the fact that he just disappears off the screen, Tompkins, that is a
That
bit of a crime.
that doctor's above his station as well, isn't he? He
Oh
just
yeah,
seems like a subordinate. You know, he does everything he has to. He injects like it takes the two ridiculously sized needles either side, guns, should we say, injects him into Snake, and like a millisecond after he injects him, he turns around to Hawk and goes, "Tell him." If you're that worried about it, maybe don't do it first.
I know. Well, everyone's trying to get their moment, aren't they? There's so many
Yeah,
great character actors, and everyone has their kind of 5 minutes on screen. And that is one of the cool things about this movie. We've said this so many times that you might have a movie with one cool character, but then you have like nine other people who just don't land a blow for the rest of the film. They're just there. They just kind of deliver an exposition, just getting you from A to B, whatever. In this film, everyone, the names we've already mentioned, I won't go through them again. Everybody is memorable.
yeah,
Everybody is
yeah,
memorable,
yeah.
and it totally elevates the movie because, as I said, like there isn't a huge amount of action. The action that is actually in the film isn't wonderfully choreographed. You
No,
mentioned the fact that the guns feel
the
like pea shooters.
and the sound
The sound
effects of the acting.
designs
The
amazing.
thank you sound designs. Yes, the shooting sound designs are awful, but the punching, the
Yeah.
blows, they were terrible. They were
Well, there's
really bad.
the first sequence where you really see, like he's thrown a few punches. Like there's that early sequence, which is wonderfully set in the scene. Like after he's landed on the World Trade Center and he goes down to that, like the theater. I love that whole sequence. This is like the best of the movie. When he's walking through the city, you see Air Force One, then he goes into the theater and you get that first idea of just how fucking weird New York has become. Because fundamentally, we're just fed this like, oh, New York is now a prison. Go. It's like, all right, cool. Like, and that's one of the other wonderful things this movie does is that it kind of feeds you just enough information about the world, but without ever going into like too much detail. It allows you to fill in the gaps, which is
Yeah,
wonderful, and it keeps the runtime down to 100 minutes. But when he goes down under the theater and the characters keep getting weirder and weirder as he thinks he's getting to the president, it's like, all right, this is, he throws a couple of punches there, but they're like little show off moves. Fine. When he does actually go and rescue the president, he gets into his first big fight with like the Duke's goons. And because of the way they dress in particular and the way it's choreographed, I was like, this looks like Michael Jackson's Bad. Remember the music video for Bad?
yeah.
It just looked like the dudes, the way they were dressed, the way it's choreographed. I was like, man, this looks like an 80s music video. It's just not brilliant. It's not. But the build up, the world building, everything around it is so cool that
Yeah.
you're like willing to forgive it.
Even like Cabby saying, "Oh, I don't usually come to this part of town, but I came to catch the show." So they've got a society, Oh, we're having a show tonight. We're doing all
Yeah. How does it
insane.
work? I don't
Yeah,
know.
but you know when he went to the basement of the theater and he found the president, but it wasn't the president.
Yeah.
For a split second, I thought that was Randall Tex Cobb. Like he
Ah, that's a
turned
good
around
shout.
and he started speaking. I thought, "Fuck me, it's Randall Tex Cobb," and it's like, no, it's not. But then, and then further on in the thing, when you get he's got to fight. Snake's got to fight Slag.
Oh, the Ming the Merciless kind of
Yeah,
stand-in.
I mean that's Ox Baker, who was a professional wrestler in the 50s, 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s.
I thought when he came in, I totally forgot to look him up, but the way he carried himself and obviously the way they had it set up with the ring, I was like, I bet you he's a wrestler. Like he
Yeah,
had what he reminded me of slightly because he was covered in hair. He reminded me of who's the guy who used to chew the turnbuckle in the 80s? Oh fuck. He used to wrestle like Hulk Hogan and stuff in like the mid
and
80s.
not Junkyard Dog.
Oh no, George the Animal Steel. George the
Oh,
Animal Steel. He
yeah.
reminded me a bit of him, but that was just because of the hair. I knew it wasn't him.
But it was funny to see him because like he used to wrestle for the WWF before it became too many W's.
Yeah, totally.
But I always remember him being because his finisher always seems stupid,
Mhm.
but the way they sell it, his finisher was the heart punch.
Yeah.
It is as it sounds. He punches you in the
Just
heart. All of a
punches you
sudden,
in. Yeah,
all of a
fantastic.
sudden your heart stops and you've been counted to 3, and then your heart's back again. It's fine.
Is it
But
any more ludicrous than the people's elbow? I don't
is
know.
it any more ludicrous than anything in
I
wrestling?
guess so.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But it was just like because he was mismatched. But then when they started doing the weird again Star Wars choreography sword fighting or lightsaber
Oh,
fighting
bat fight.
with those with the bats, and then the way that nail bat stuck into his head and it just went. I was like, "Fuck it!" That sound is awful. Like it
It
just
did sound
doesn't
awful.
fit.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
something quite violent, obviously, about a nail back on someone's head. What it did remind me of, again, because the way it's kind of like it's quite stunted in his choreography. I'm not sure if you've ever seen Will Farrell. It's just like a short he did called Bat Fight, and he sings a song where he's just doing Bat Fight with I forget the name of the other actor now. An actor I love, but I just totally dropped out of my head. But it's just called Bat Fight, and it's just them singing a song, having a bat fight, and the choreography is literally at that level. And even in that sequence, like how quickly the Duke's men turns, like as soon as he killed the big wrestling dude, there was like snakes. I was like, this is like Rocky IV when like a couple of good rounds of boxing turned, Soviet era Russians against Ivan Drago and to American, Rocky Balboa. Like that was silly. This is kind of borderline.
It's exactly the same in LA. It's exactly the same. He has to go in using a special tool. In this one is a glider, and that one is a one-man submersible. He meets some interesting characters. They've given him some sort of virus, and he's got a time limit to do it. Instead of he's got to rescue the president's daughter, not the president. Instead of a cassette, it's some weird micro disc thing because it's moved up into the future. He's got to do a competition. He does the competition. He survives the competition. They all love him for. It's the exact same fucking movie.
And it's such a shame
So
because
insane.
Spoiler alert.
By the way, Craig Robinson.
Craig Robinson,
Craig Robinson.
Yeah, Craig Robinson, who I absolutely love, but his name dropped out of my head. But yeah, it's another one of those sequences. Like any time that the action, like maybe the best action sequence is probably the ending on the bridge. It's still weird, the bit where the car gets split in half because of I assume a mine, and it just like perfectly splits the car in half, and everyone else is absolutely fine except for Cabby, who's dead because you're just like he kind of needs to die because we have no interest in saving him. That's probably the best choreographed sequence in the movie. I mean, I still don't know why Maggie felt the need after she saw Brain get killed that she's like, oh, I'm going to stand here and just get run over by the
ride
Duke.
Or die. She sacrificed herself as ride or die.
She is. I will give her that. She is totally ride or die, and like she looks so great in this movie. She's famous for a particular reason. We don't need to go into that again. But jokes aside, like when she's wearing the dress and she's got the coat over the top, she just looks so cool. However, in a movie which has got the 80s written all over most of it, as we discussed, the most 80s thing is probably her hair, sadly. It's just so... It's almost like distracting the 80s.
She looks so uncomfortable with a gun as well, bless her. Like she
does.
But she was carrying a big gun just to give it to Kurt Russell. And the other thing that made me laugh is when they go into the Brain, he's in the public, like the New York State Library or wherever it is. That's where his hideout is, Don't call me Harry anymore. My name's the Brain. Everyone just nonchalantly looked over the fact he's got an oil pumping well in the middle of it.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
I know I make his gasoline. Okay, that's fine. But New York is rife with oil in the ground, man.
I think, well, it's one of the questions when I was watching the movie. I was just like, wait, how are all these cars driving around? Are they literally, because, this has been going for what, like, at the start of the movie, it's like it opened in like 88. They closed off New York. And now, oh God, although things that, like age you. Like I just hate, it's like when it says now 1997, like, the far distant
Yeah,
future.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
remember, the depressing thing is, I remember watching this when 1997 was indeed the future, rather than the future is now 29 years in the past. And I'm pretty sure I briefly turned into dust when I did the maths on that. So I was a little bit upset. But yeah, they were obviously like, how do we explain this? It's like, oh, we're just having an oil pump in his room. Like, does that really explain it? It's the best we've got. It's the best we got. We're just going to roll with
Hey,
it.
did imagine this as well? Did he say that they've converted? Like, I think Tom Aitken said it. Something like the fact that they've converted some of their vehicles to use steam.
What, in the future? Oh, on the
Yeah,
island, you mean? Or in
yeah,
the, oh, maybe. I can't remember that. But there were so many things which just kind of washed over me. And as I said, the world building is both wonderful, but not particularly detailed. It's just like, we don't have to answer all the questions. This is just the world. Like, they had those, I can't remember the name of them, the guys who run out at the night. Like, it's almost hinted that they might be cannibals, that they've gone completely wild. Like, there's this whole kind of cultural and economic system going on New York. And it's hinted at, but it never really runs anywhere. It's like, the closest you get to a little bit of exposition is when those like cannibal dudes, the crazies or whatever they're called, like start running down the street, and
yeah.
Snake goes and hides in a diner. You get that girl there who's basically there just to deliver a little bit of exposition.
Yeah.
Although
Oh,
saying
you
that,
mean
when she's
the
like
the chock full of nuts?
chock full of nuts, exactly that place, yeah. But when the girl was just like, oh, when she realizes he can potentially get out, and she's like, oh, take me with you, Snake, and he says why, and she's like, oh, immediately starts kissing him. I'm sure you noticed he doesn't stop her. Usually the
No,
hero stops the girl. The only thing that stops him are the crazy fuckers who start coming out of the floor. I'm
but
like, if they hadn't shown up, I'm like, he might have taken her to Pound Town.
he is looking to get wet. Yeah, he is a bad like he's the anti-hero of anti-heroes. It's like
Well, he's been in
in
prison as well. You got to remember that. Like, he's fresh out the joint. He's going to be keen as mustard. There's a sequence when Maggie's walking in front of him, like he blatantly is just checking her out. Blatantly,
it's
I'm like,
it's the same in another Carpenter film as well, mind, because you have to question it. I don't know if it's the way Kurt Russell looks at this point,
Mhm.
but in Big Trouble in Little China, when he goes into the Asian brothel to look for Zhao Lin or what the
Mhm.
girl with green eyes, if the storms hadn't arrived, I think he's going all the way while everyone's waiting outside for him. Because
I
there's
think he
no other
might.
way for him to get out. Like I think just he's going all the way. Jack, and if I had to look at Jack Burton or Snake, I'd say Jack Burton's the one who's thinking, you know what, we got time for
Oh,
this.
Jack Burton's a dog, but in a completely
Yeah,
different way. But yeah, I'm just thinking like early to mid '80s. Kurt Russell is just a shagger, basically. He's just
yeah,
a stick man, classic stick man. So yeah, I've got to give him his dues. And like I said, he's just coming out of prison. Although that doesn't like they show up. It's like he's fresh out of the joint and he's wearing that. I'm like, are those the clothes he gave him? It's just like, all right, here's your tactical gear, sir. Here's your lycra top and combat shorts and eye patch and cigarettes and all the other nonsense. But it seems less ludicrous because obviously this movie had a big impact on the culture. As I said, I think so many of the things we kind of think of as 80s cinema, whether it be aesthetically or certainly from an audio perspective, it started to one extent or another with this film. It's like video games really took this and run. I mean, there's
yeah.
the obvious Metal Gear Solid, but the simple premise, the weird characters, the kind of like, it's literally, it's like, oh, New York's now a prison. He's got to get in, he's got to save the president and get out. I feel like that's like 1,000,001 Capcom games from 1984 to 1992. So it's just like when you rewatch this, it just feels oddly familiar, even if you haven't seen the
Yeah.
movie for a long time.
Yeah.
But more because of video games than movies, bizarrely. I won't go into too much detail because we'll get to that in a bit, I suppose.
But no, you have a point, and it feels like you got sub bosses, you
Mhm.
got proper bosses, levels. I mean, any game now, the whole climbing down from the World Trade Center and then climbing back up just to have them shove your glider off
Mhm.
feels like a perfect level where they've just extended the game a little bit. You think you're about to end it, and
Well, I was thinking about that because, again, the obvious kind of reference point is Metal Gear Solid. And you think in Metal Gear Solid 3 in particular, Snake Eater, which they re-released recently, Snake Eater Delta, there's a
yeah,
very famous sequence in that where you climb up a ladder for like 12 minutes. I'm not sure if it's 12 minutes, but it's a long time. And it's clearly one of
yeah,
those Hideo Kojima things. And you can totally imagine if he had got the rights to do Escape from New York and have Snake Plissken, that sequence, he's like, you're going all the way up the stairs. You're gonna go through every single step up and down those just because I can. I'll add dramatic music. It's like the trip into Mexico from Red Dead Redemption,
Yeah,
but it's just like a really boring version. Amazing score, but just you running up steps for like 30 minutes. That'd be absolutely amazing.
totally agree.
Um, and speaking of like, as boring as that is, like he lands on the World Trade Center, and of course they've become even more iconic now because of what happened. It's like that kind of comes and goes so quickly. It's like, oh, you're gonna have to get down the stairs, and then he's just at the bottom of the stairs. It's just fine. And then later on, when they come back down the stairs again, they were just like, we should at least look tired this time.
I
It's like,
love it.
oh God, all those steps. They don't even make a joke. You think Ghostbusters even made a joke about them
Yeah,
going up the stairs at the end of the movie.
I loved it when Hawk said it as well. Like he said, "Oh, we fly in there to do our surveillance and all that. So, it's a special way of making the lift work. Yeah, and then you got to get off at 50 and hoof it down." And you think, okay, this sounds good. They've planned it, so there's like a special button that's hidden,
Mhm.
or no, just cross some wires.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just cross some wires, and it would like fucking hell. Are you serious?
It just comes back to that whole thing about like whether it be budget or just timing. It's like all of the technology is so lo-fi. It's like when
Yeah,
they've got like the bracelets, one with the timer, one with the switch and everything, it all just looks so wonderfully cheap. And again, when I was younger, that's what it looked, just cheap. Because I'm that much more removed now, it becomes wonderfully cheap. It's like instead of feeling old and a little bit lame, it feels charming and nostalgic. So all of the things that I wasn't so fussed on about this movie when I was younger, and part of that is, oh, the action's not great. And let's be clear, there isn't a huge amount of action. Like I said, this is much more of a character piece.
yeah.
These are the reasons that I love this movie now. Like this is without question the rewatch, which I've just completed, is the most fun I've ever had watching this film, without question. Albeit, I haven't watched it for like the best part of 15, 20 years, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's been a
No, I
while.
watched it a few years ago. I do apologize for the
No,
first
I
time,
haven't.
but
I haven't watched it. I gotta say, maybe early 2000s was the last time I watched
oh,
this.
fair
So it's
enough.
been a while. Yeah.
But watching it again, one of the things that really stood out amongst the kind of fantastic performance in this film is Donald Pleasance. One, I feel like he's doing a British accent. All right, fair enough. Maybe
I
that's
don't know
just my
what fucking
ears.
accent he's doing. He is absolutely insane.
He is insane. It's one of the lamest interpretations, and I don't mean Donald Pleasance in terms of his performance. Like it's a really good performance, but obviously John Carpenter's take on the American president is just the worst. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, it feels like if John Carpenter was going to go after Donald Trump now, he would represent him on screen in exactly the same way. It's like,
I mean,
oh,
you
he's
would
the
think.
tough guy when he's on the top of the wall and he's shooting down the Duke with an Uzi. But every other scene in this film, they go out of their way to make him look like an absolute bitch, right down to when they put him in a fucking wig. It's just
So
like
say if
they
they would
want to
have filmed it
humiliate him.
now, that wig would have looked slightly different. I
It would
mean,
have looked very
yeah,
different. But
yeah.
yeah, the
But
whole like the undertone. It's not even undertones at the start. The whole fascism state thing. Like I said,
yeah,
it all feels depressingly kind of
I
relevant
loved it as well.
when
I
watching it
mean,
in
still
2026.
being the like total dictator president that he's
Mhm.
meant to be. When he says, "Oh, can you do this to the door?" I mean, the lame fucking Secret Service agent trying to get into that door. They bolted it from the inside. I tapped it 3 times with my gun. Can't get in. Can you blow it up? No, we can't. Can you lift it off the hinges? No, we can't. Okay, get me into the escape pod. And as he pressed the buttons, he closed it. Good luck, all. He goes,
Yeah,
"You're all fucked. Good
yeah.
luck." Yeah,
It's cowardly from and like I mean, in fairness, the pod is so iconic, like that red kind of egg that he goes in, very
yes,
Mork and Mindy kind of thing. But it's just another one of those characters where
that was a reference nobody's gonna get in. Well,
yeah,
our
Mork and
our
Mindy.
our listeners are probably gonna get it because they're all our age. But
Maybe, yeah. If I just
yeah,
randomly went Nanu, is it Nanu? Nanu? Is that what I
Nanu
used to
Nanu,
say? Yeah,
Nanu
Nanu,
Nanu.
Nanu. Yeah,
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, that has culturally dropped
where was
off the face of the earth, hasn't it?
where was Mork from?
Ah, Jesus, good, because he used to have that little speech at the end of every episode, didn't he? Where he was talking on to his like alien buddy.
Yeah,
Oh, I can't remember. I can't
he's
remember.
Mork from Mork.
Mork from Oh, Jesus Christ! How did I forget that? How did
Yeah.
I forget? I feel like with Mork and Mindy, I only ever saw the ends of the episode. It's bizarre. It's like
They're the ones like that's just because it's always the same thing. He rocks up in his silver jumpsuit,
yeah, yeah,
tells him what he's learned this week.
yeah. This is
No.
what I learned on Earth this
Yeah,
week.
yeah. So I mean, they're all. I don't know how many episodes there were, but that all becomes iconic because it's all the same thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
tell me what
totally.
happened. I mean, the only thing I can remember about Mork and Mindy really was like one of them worked in a record store, or there was a lot to do with the record store. But that's as
I
far
can
as I know.
honestly remember. So it's kind of like the complete opposite of the Equalizer with Edward Woodward. All I remember from the Equalizer was the intro. I remember the music. Speaking of being super 80s, like that synth vibe,
Yeah.
like the him walking through the smoke, super 80s. I just remember seeing the intro. I can't remember anything about the show. Mork and Mindy, I just remember the end. It's very bizarre. But
Do
yeah,
you remember?
a bit of a deep cut.
Do you remember? You want to go deep cut? We had a version of that in the UK. Remember when ITV or CITV used to have the kids shows after school,
Hmm.
so from like 3:30 till 5.
Yeah, yeah.
We had Mike and Angelo.
I can't remember that at all.
Ah, and Angelo was an
It was
alien.
Alien. Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
For
And
some
he
reason, the
he
first thing that popped into my head was going around the twist.
yeah, I remember around the twist. Yeah. But it was funny because it went on for longer than it should have.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
Mike kept changing. So every time a new person came to live in the house
Yeah,
with
yeah.
they were named Mike as well, even to the point where I think it was a girl at the end named Michaela, but they shortened it to Mike because they didn't want to change the name of the show. So every time that
It's just
Mike
another
left,
mic.
they brought another Mike in. It's like this is
Just get
fucking
another
yeah,
mic.
yeah.
Absolutely bad. Bad shit. What was I going to say then? I had a point in my head that I was going to say. Oh,
Mike and
right. This is
Angelo
one of my
ruined it.
biggest issues with this film. I have two major issues with this film. Right. This is like Liam's take, basically, before Rob's take.
Yep.
One, why did the Duke let Snake live at the like? So after he has his like boxing match with his bat fight in the ring, and
Yep.
obviously they find out that shit's going down, and they all have to leave at a moment's notice. Why does he just leave Snake? Why doesn't he kill Snake? It just seems like a massive oversight to me.
Yep.
So that's one of the issues. But my biggest problem with this film is the unnecessary leg injury because again, Snake is so cool. And it feels like halfway through this film, he gets shot in the leg. Again, it's all about the president being lame. He totally gives away Snake's position by looking at him too obviously when he's trying to like get him on the train where he's sitting. Where he breaks that dude's neck, which is pretty badass, and then he uses the ninja star, which is awesome. But he gets shot in the leg, and it then means for the rest of the movie, this totally badass character has to limp around. And I'm just like, this is screaming for, we've talked about before, the classic movie star injury just above your left or right hip, away from all the organs. It's going to hurt, but it's not
Yep.
hitting any of your major organs, and it's not going to stop you from potentially doing all the action. This, he gets shot in the leg, and it means this totally dope character is limping for half the film. And I'm just like, I could have done without that. I wanted to see Snake go full Snake, but instead, it maybe explains that, it's just like, guys, the choreography in this film isn't great. Maybe if we give him a limp, it'll explain it away. But yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the leg injury.
The leg injury syndrome, it felt to me, and I haven't seen it in facts or anything, but it felt to me like he actually did something to his leg, so they had to
Mm-hmm. Oh,
like
maybe.
yeah. But
Oh, okay,
like I
fair
said, I
enough.
haven't seen that. So no, but yeah, it was really weird. Like he had snuck up on them, but apparently, well, the president ruined that because he stared at Snake, so they turned around and fired a crossbow bolt at him, and then he threw his ninja
Yeah.
star and killed the guy.
It's
Uh,
just, I think it's just another excuse to shit on the president, basically, which this
yeah.
movie is very much all about.
Sorry, you were, and I was listening, but I was also searching. And I'm going off on a tangent. I do apologize, but I was also searching Michelangelo because I'm thinking,
Jeez.
how did you miss it, dude? It went from 1989 to 2000. It went for 12 seasons in the UK.
I mean, maybe it's one of those things. If I look it up, I'll remember it. But I
Yeah.
just cannot remember Michelangelo. But to wrestle you away from that and back towards this film,
Yeah.
what did you make of the end? Because I mentioned about certain aspects of this film being incredibly 80s. I don't think there's anything, I've already said it, so there's nothing more 80s than her hair or his fucking, gun or whatever. But then there's also the fact that the most important piece of information in this film is held on a cassette tape,
Yeah,
which
but
is,
I don't understand what's on the cassette tape that's gonna. It's a MacGuffin for sure.
yeah, I guess it
What's
is.
on the cassette tape that's gonna save the world?
Well, that's the weird thing because I don't think that is particularly well explained. So at the end of the film, they're still having digs at the president, and I mentioned the fact that this is all very post Watergate, post
Yeah,
Vietnam. It's like, oh, you've got you can have anything. What do you want, Snake? I just want to ask you one question. And he's talking about the people who died to get him out. It's clearly
yeah,
about Vietnam, whatever. Like I said, anti-establishment to the very end, but and political distress, blah blah blah. But when you see him then like walk away, and obviously the president's got the wrong tape, and he's playing the cabbie's music, and he drags the tape out of the cassette. When you realize what's on it, it does change the end of the film from being anti-establishment to potentially nihilist. So
Yeah.
the tape ostensibly outlines a nuclear fusion formula designed to be a world-saving peace offering. So the idea is that this nuclear fusion formula will provide unlimited energy for America, the Soviet Union, and China. And it's basically, there's no need for war. We'll all have enough energy. And he just like destroys the tape. And at that point, I'm just like, wait, so does Snake want nuclear war? I mean, like I said, it moves away from anti-establishment to just pure flat out nihilism. And I find it quite bizarre.
Some people just want to watch the world burn. Like,
Yeah, but
again,
that doesn't feel like his character.
but going back to the sequel, he shuts them down. He turns off the power and sends them back to the Stone Age. And then he says this random thing at the end of welcome to the human race. Like that is meant to make some sense. It's just
maybe that's his vibe. Like he just
it's just something to be a dick.
Fucked.
It's just
like,
it's just a dick move.
I guess like maybe the idea is like, oh well, I just think I've tried to live in this world. I've done the right thing. Like the whole idea with this film, the reason he was in prison is because he was a war hero. He didn't get paid what he thought he should have been or what he was owed, and then that led him to a life of crime, and then he gets arrested. Blah blah blah.
Again, did he do the right thing because he was blackmailed? Was he actually gonna have the plan of jumping in the glider and turning it left and fucking off? Because I feel like Snake he would have done that. Yeah, he would have done
totally.
It.
I don't think he wanted anything to do with the president.
No, so he saved the world. He didn't say he just saved his own ass. The world
exactly
is second.
that. Yeah.
The world is second to him.
Oh yeah, the him saving the world, I totally understand is secondary. Like he has no interest in being involved. If he could just like you say, get in the glider and just bounce, he'd be like 100%. I'm just bounce. I don't give a fuck about the United States. I don't give a fuck about the president. That's like one level. But to kind of actively destroy the apparently the only tape, no backup, it's just on a cassette, the nuclear fusion formula. By destroying that, he's potentially pushing the world closer towards nuclear war. That is a different level. That's not a level of disinterest in politics or the USA. That's like actively taking part in the potential downfall of the human race, which is a good.
Yeah.
And like you said, that kind of plays into his outlook in the second one. So maybe he's a much darker character than we let on, But yeah, it's still cool. Like with the music playing in the background, he destroys the tape. I'm like, it's pretty badass. But when you stop and think about it, you're just like, oof, that's pretty hardcore, Snake. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else you wanted to add before we move on to favorite scene or Rob's take? My apologies. I've already had Liam's take, so you should have Rob's take.
Get my talking points here. Kurt Russell redefining the anti-hero. We already said that.
Mm-hmm.
You've already said Lee Van Cleef is the ultimate government badass. Isaac Hayes radiating menace. I mean, he doesn't say a lot, but I mean, it's in his face. It's in his eyes.
He's just dressed brilliantly. He's got that weird little twitch. He doesn't get a huge amount to do, but the fact that his Isaac Hayes just somehow adds to it, it's just just another example of fantastic casting in this film.
I wrote, I love Carpenter's minimalist futurism. I think it's great. The night shoots, they felt genuinely dangerous.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
One of them, again, to bring it back to video games, because obviously you see it in lights in the day and that kind of danger kind of dissipates slightly, is like, I can't remember the name, it was like a parkour zombie game. And it's not the only one, it's just the one.
Dying Light, was it?
Dying Light, yeah.
Dying Light,
where it's like, there's bad guys in the day and it's a pain in the ass, but if you're caught at night, things get demonstrably worse. And this movie definitely had that vibe. And I was watching it on UHD, and the night sequences look just dark as fuck. Not in a bad way. But it feels like a movie. It feels like you're genuinely there at night. It doesn't have that kind of sheen to it or anything like that. Like to the point where when it becomes day in the second half, it's quite a stark contrast.
Yeah. And the only other thing I wrote down then was, and it goes to your point about Snake at the end, Snake's the embodiment of burn it all down.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird because for the most film, I just thought it was just kind of political indifference. I thought it was more like don't give a fuckery rather than like burn it all down. But his actions at the end of each film suggest he is all about burning it all down.
So I also like I wasn't going to mention this, but now we're talking about it. I put why the true villain is the government. Mm-hmm. And I've got they lie, they manipulate, they treat Snake as expendable. His final act isn't rebellion, it's justice. Because again, he's done it all for himself. So I'm
not sure if it's weird. Like I said,
in his eyes, it's justice. In his eyes, it's justice. It's an eye for an eye, or an eye patch for an eye patch.
I read it as nihilistic by the end of the film.
Yeah.
The more I read about it, but anyway, cool character nonetheless,
Yep.
whatever his intentions were. Any Rob takes?
Well, a couple. We've mentioned them, but I'll go over them. So the glider physics, Snake
Mm.
landing with the precision of a man parking a Ford Fiesta. This seems very
It is. I was surprised
out
how
of nowhere.
cool that looked. I mean, it looks of
Yeah.
its time, but that whole sequence with the map painting of him flying into Manhattan, like you say, that combination of Tron like CG and stuff. Again, I might have felt differently about it watching this in like the early 90s, but just fucking him. Now I watch it, I'm like, this is cool. This is old school movie making.
Uh, the Duke's car. I mean, actual chandeliers on a Cadillac just felt
I
really weird.
It's super weird. It's
Yeah.
kind of awesome. The one I actually had the issue with was trying to drive with a fucking disco ball in the car. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
just going to get in the way.
Or is Cabby an actual cab driver?
That's a good question. Again, is he just a psycho, and like how is he getting paid? Because they never like explain the economy of New York
No.
in this film. So it's
Yeah.
just like, is it like a bartering system? We have no idea. Or is he just doing it because I used to be a cabbie and I'm just going to be a cabbie again?
Yeah. So if he used to be a cabbie, though, what was his crime to be sent to fucking Manhattan? It's like,
But he could have
hell.
just been a psycho. You think of like Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, I suppose.
in fairness, I would argue that Borgnine doesn't give off the same energy
No.
as Travis
No,
Bickle, in fairness.
yeah.
Although maybe 30 years in New York, he's just softened the edges. He's just turned into an absolute psychopath. But yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, are you getting paid for this? Or are you just doing it because you're like, I don't know what else to do? Make
Yeah.
yourself useful, I suppose.
And my final take was Snake's attitude. He's injected with micro explosives. He's given 24 hours to live, and he's sent into a prison island, and he just reacts with a shrug. Just yeah,
But
okay.
he's cool. He's just so cool. That's the whole
Yeah.
point of it. Although when he gets injected in the neck, they're trying to play it off in the film like, oh, that should be like super painful. And getting injected twice in the neck, one on each side, doesn't look like the most fun. It immediately reminded me of a far superior version of that, and I don't know why it's like it always made me cringe. But Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Running Man, when they
Yeah.
put the big black block in his mouth and they stick the needle between his fingers. There's something about that and the way Arnie sells it. I'm just like, that looks so fucking painful.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what they put. It is a tracking device, isn't it?
I believe so.
I think it is, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
just reminded me of that. Favorite scene?
Well, I'm actually going to go back to the glider.
Cool.
He's descending through the night in the stealth glider. You've got Carpenter's synth score pulsing beneath him. Manhattan's pitch black. It's a dead city swallowed by crime and decay. Snake lands on the roof of the World Trade Center with that precision I've just said.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that perfect encapsulation of the film's tone. It's minimalist, it's eerie, and it's effortlessly cool. I think that sets the tone for the rest of it. I think it's
I
great. That
100% agree. And basically, it's almost the same as you. Like everything you said is exactly the same, only it's 5 minutes later. So it's basically after he gets to the bottom of the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
And for like 5 minutes, I mentioned it earlier, he just walks around the city and you just get it's just like a vibes thing. It's just cool map paintings, cool set design, amazing score, Snake just looking like a badass. Nothing's happening. He's just walking around. It's basically from his walk from the World Trade Center to the theater. That's my favorite sequence for all the same reasons that you just said about the
cool.
glider.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
As we said, at its core, this movie is at its best when it's just being a vibes movie.
Yeah.
Oscar season, in which we hand out 3 Oscars and 3 Razzies in categories of our choosing. I'll run through mine quick. The Oscar for Best Hair. I mean, Jesus Christ, there are actually 2 competitors here with God, what's his name? Romero.
Romero, yeah.
Frank Doubleday, but the answer is obviously Kurt Russell as Snake. The Oscar for second best hair then does go to Frank Doubleday as Romero, and the Oscar for best use of a chandelier in a disco ball goes to the Duke's car. I mean, I know what you mean. It doesn't make any sense, but it just makes what could be a nothing scene just that much more memorable. You're just like, wait, his car has a chandelier and a disco ball. I'm like, I don't know if this makes him insane or cool. It probably makes him both of those things.
For me, the Oscar for the best man who has absolutely no time for anyone's nonsense is Snake Plissken. I mean, every line is delivered like a threat, every glare a warning. He's like the definitive anti-hero.
Call me Snake. God, the line deliveries are so cool.
The Oscar for the best use of a city as a character is Manhattan Prison, a ruined metropolis of gangs, fires, and abandoned theaters, a dystopia that feels disturbingly plausible.
And amazing what they did for the budget as well.
Yeah. And finally, the best supporting actor who seems to be in a different movie Ernest Borgnine as the cabbie. He's cheerful, he's chatting, he's driving a taxi through hell like it's a normal Tuesday.
Yeah, I feel like so many movies have taken that kind of like template and run with it. I think of like Benny in Total
Yeah,
Recall has like a similar vibe, although he fits into that movie, into that world more successfully than Ernest Borgnine does as Cabby. But he's very fun all the same.
yeah,
I'm just thinking people just looked around at like the character actors and the performances, and went, I'm gonna have to do something here just to get just to get remembered, basically.
yeah.
The Razzie for worst on-screen present goes to Donald Pleasance and his odd English accent. Again, not for his performance, which I think is fun, but just such a lame character. To the Razzie for poorly judged injury to lead character goes to Arrow to leg for the reasons I mentioned earlier. And the Razzie for most wasted character arguably goes to Frank Doubleday as Romero, as we mentioned earlier. Super memorable from a purely aesthetic standpoint, doesn't actually do much, and then just kind of goes out with something of a whimper, sadly.
Yeah. For me, the Razzie for the most questionable presidential behavior goes to the president,
Mhm.
panicked, useless, and somehow still smug by the end.
Absolutely.
The Razzie for the worst escape plan goes to everyone. Snake improvises. The government blackmails a criminal. The Duke drives a chandelier car. Strategic genius is in short supply.
Yeah. Nobody has a particularly good plan when it comes to this movie.
No. And finally, the Razzie for the most fragile sci-fi technology goes to Snake's wrist timer. Humanity's fate depends on a device that looks like it was built in a shed.
Yeah, that looks like pound shop stuff, doesn't it? The
Yeah.
way it's something about the way it flicks up, which just makes it sound so cheap. I'm just like,
Yeah.
really? You could have done a little bit better with that. But again, it kind of inches back towards charming because it's so cheap looking now.
Yeah.
Any alternative titles to this one? And you struggle to find a bad one. Escape from New York is a great title. And again, so wasted. Escape from LA, escape from fucking Beijing, escape from everywhere. Oh,
Escape from Earth.
yeah.
Austria, the rattlesnake.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Croatia, New York, 97.
That's okay.
Denmark, Flight Action, New York.
No.
What else have we got here? Italy, 1997, Escape from New York.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much just all like New York things. Portugal, New York, 97.
I don't actually mind that. I think that sounds like, kind of like 2001: A Space Odyssey, New York, 99. Like, obviously, it sounds weird now, but I'm sure back in 1981, it would have kind of had more of an impact.
Taiwan, New York, Escape.
Mm.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, the weirdest one is the rattlesnake.
Yeah, that is the weirdest one. Any facts of this movie, or at least favorite facts, because there are plenty.
Yeah, we have a few. So, Kurt Russell stated that this is his favorite of all his films, and Snake Plissken is his favorite of his characters. I can see it, but I do argue, it's John Carpenter characters, but I do think that his character from The Thing,
I don't know about. Yeah, I don't think it's a better character. I prefer
I think his character. I can see because he gets more to do.
It's a more rounded character.
He's more action hero-y in this, but I just love his take on McCready. I think.
Yeah. Like it's a more interesting layered character for sure. But if I played these characters and I pulled off what he pulled off in this movie, you can totally see why I look back and go, I was pretty awesome in Snake Plissken, wasn't I? The look and everything else. I can totally see why he'd be his favorite character. But the other issue, of course, him saying it's his favorite movie, and we've not really mentioned it because we've mentioned that we've done a whole bunch of John Carpenter films. I just wanted to check if you're on the same page when it comes to this. I've got this movie at the very top of the second tier of John Carpenter films. And when I say that, I've got a very clear top four. So when I think of top tier Carpenter films, I think They Live, Big Trouble, Halloween, and The Thing. And then the second tier, I've got this at the very top alongside Mouth of Madness and probably Assault on Precinct 13. Are you in the kind of same ballpark, or would you have this in that kind of upper echelon of Carpenter films?
So for me, looking at his list now, it's like, for me, when you say three, was it three? What was your top tier? Was it three?
I had four because I had They Live, Big Trouble, Halloween, and The Thing.
They Live, Big Trouble, The Thing, and The Fog. I'm not huge on Halloween. I do enjoy The Fog. Yeah.
I like the Fog would be kind of the lower end of it. Would definitely be in that second tier, but probably be at the lower end for me.
And for me, then the second tier would be Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah.
Christine.
Mm-hmm.
In the Mouth of Madness, and Starman.
I'd have Starman,
Yeah.
100%, and we won't talk about the bottom tier, but we know one that's already in there. And let's be clear,
So do you know why
because
you
we've
made
talked
that
about
one?
it. I am like I know you've kind of threatened to pick Escape from LA. I am genuinely looking forward to watching Escape from LA now. I
Yeah.
really am. I hope we do it relatively soon.
When we said bottom tier, I thought you were going to go to Ghost of Mars. Do you know
Oh,
who
Ghost
you
of
made?
Mars is the worst. It's the
Do you know
worst.
why you made Ghost of Mars?
No.
Because he wasn't allowed to do uh Escape from Earth. So because
So he
Snake
did.
Plissken, so he did Ghost of Mars.
Oh my God, Ghost of Mars is so bad. The
Yeah.
only one of his bottom tier films, which I'm like, I've already mentioned it. It's like I've got a weird compulsion now to kind of revisit Escape from LA, even though I know it's a bad film. The one I kind of think, maybe if I rewatched it, I might nudge it up to the middle section is Vampires. That's the one I'm
Oh,
kind of
I
interested
love
to revisit.
vampires.
Yeah, I remember you saying that,
Vampires is so fucking pointless. It's so like it's
yeah,
interesting as fuck.
it was your review of it where I was just like,
Yeah.
I need, because I've only seen Vampires once, and I got to admit, I wasn't a big fan of it at the time, but I honestly can't remember anything about it. And I'm like, that's the one I need to revisit because,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how I'd feel about it now because I literally can't remember.
I would say we should do it.
I don't think I'm going to be like, dude, I need to revisit my list. It's the thing. It's fucking Vampires and Big Trouble. That's not going to happen.
You
But
know
maybe
what?
it's better than I remember.
It'd be interesting to call a John Carpenter season.
Yeah, totally.
Because yes, we've covered the top tier of John Carpenter. We've already done that.
But there's some obvious ones.
But we
for
still,
sure.
well, yeah, but it'd be interesting to like make a Village of the
Well,
Damned. Okay,
we've
no,
said two
but
there. We want to do vampires. We want to do escape from LA. We haven't done Into the Mouth of Madness.
we have done Into the Mouth of Madness.
Oh no, sorry, we have done Into the
Yeah,
Mouth of Madness. The
we
other
haven't done
one,
Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness. Sorry, that's
We
what I was
haven't
thinking of.
done Christine. We haven't done Starman. We haven't done Memoirs of an Invisible Man. We haven't done The Fog.
I could probably do without Memoirs of an
No,
Invisible
but what
Man.
I mean is, if we were
I
going to
know what
pick
you
John
mean.
Carpenter, we have a list
There's
of. I mean,
loads.
fucking, if you want to go out about, we could pick Elvis with Kurt
Yeah,
Russell if
yeah.
you wanted to. You know,
We give
but what I'm saying is,
yeah,
it'd be
there are four
interesting to do
there.
a John Carpenter season
Yeah, yeah.
where the top tier John Carpenters we can't pick because we've already done
We've
them.
already done them. Yeah, yeah. A kind
Yeah,
of like mid-tier Carpenter month, which
yeah,
is we talked about this before about doing like almost like a kind of alternative Stephen King month, where it's like we're going to pick Stephen King movies, but not the obvious ones. Like we're not going to
yeah.
pick The Shining, despite the fact that we've never done The Shining. We're not going to do. Jesus Christ, that was loud. Sorry, there was just a bike going past outside.
Okay.
We're not going to do like The Green Mile or anything like that. We're going to do like I don't know, fucking Thinner or something like
Yeah.
that, or Needful Things, just like really obscure stuff. But I think listen, I'm all for doing kind of middle of the road Stephen King and Carpenter movies for sure.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a lot of
Right, let
fun.
me get a couple of facts out of the way
Yes,
because
sorry, my
no, it's
apologies.
fine. I did one and we just went off.
Yeah.
Snake Plissken's eyepatch was suggested by Kurt Russell. I honestly think he probably just showed up wearing it one day and said, I ain't taking it off.
Class. Totally
Yeah.
right.
The model of the city was repainted and reused for Blade Runner the next
Very
year.
cool. Yeah.
Or this year. 81
No,
was
82. Yeah, this was
yeah, but
81.
81
Blade
was
Runner.
Escape from New York, was it?
Yeah, this was 81.
Yeah.
Blade Runner was
Yeah,
82.
and then 82, yeah. The opening narration, the computer's voice in the first prison scene is, we didn't mention it, an uncredited Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Where she's basically just like in like 2 lines telling you like like this is the world you're living in after the races, basically.
Kurt Russell pitched himself hard for the role of Snake Plissken as he was very keen to shake off his Disney image.
Mm-hmm. It'll probably cover in fact. You know who the favorite was for the role, right?
I haven't seen it, in fact.
Tommy Lee Jones, supposedly.
Tommy Lee Jones, fucking hell.
Might have worked.
Oh, that
might have worked.
Yeah, that
it's a
work.
very different character.
Yeah.
Gruffer. Like he obviously, Kurt Russell's so goddamn handsome. Like he doesn't have that, but different performance, but it could have worked.
Donald Pleasance drew on his own wartime experience as a prisoner of war for his performance as the imprisoned president.
Mm-hmm.
Did it again when he did The Great Escape, didn't he? POW.
Oh, yeah.
I remember him arguing with the. I don't remember him. I wasn't there personally. But a story of him arguing with the director, and the director saying, "I want to do it this way."
Mm-hmm.
And James Gammon.
Pleasance.
No, yeah, sorry. Who was his American co-star? Not James Gammon. He played. What the fuck is his name? Anyway, it doesn't matter. His American co-star turned around to the director and you go, he was actually a prisoner of war. Maybe you should listen to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of like trump card, isn't it, for sure?
Yeah. Kurt Russell decided to wear the eye patch at the last second before shooting. He did not tell John Carpenter beforehand, but Carpenter liked the look of the character, so he kept it. I knew he just walked on with it one day.
Yep.
Yeah. Kurt Russell based his performance on Clint Eastwood. I absolutely see that.
Yep. I wonder what came
Uh,
first. Him saying like I'm good, or if he saw Van Cleef and he's just like, oh, dude, I'm totally doing a Clint Eastwood for
yeah.
this movie.
John Carpenter and Adrian Barbeau were married while filming this.
Oh, cool.
I did not know that, but they were. As were Kurt Russell and Susan Hubley. I don't know who Susan Hubley is, but
I have
I'm
no idea.
guessing she was in this film. Kurt Russell found it necessary to remove the eye patch between takes as wearing it constantly seriously affected his depth perception.
Yeah, it'd be weird wearing an eye patch all day, I guess.
Ox Baker struck Kurt Russell very heavily with some of his blows during the boxing ring fight scene. Russell had finally had enough and asked Baker to take it easy, tapping him in the groin to let him know he was serious. Baker then calmed down.
Well, a tap in the groin will calm down even the largest of men, I'll tell you that
Yeah.
much.
The film's budget of $7 million was the largest that John Carpenter had worked with up to that point.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because obviously it's still very low budget, especially in terms of the scale that they're going for. But when you think of his films before this, Halloween, Assault on Precinct 13 was before this, wasn't it? It's like,
yes,
they're proper low budget movies by comparison.
James Garner. James Garner was the American in
Okay.
The Great Escape. And I'm trying to Rockford Files. That's what I was thinking of. He was starred in the Rockford
Good job
Files.
looking that up and delivering the facts at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. I'm multitasking, and they say I can multitask.
Ridiculous.
I think we'll end it there because there's fucking hundreds.
Cool.
So
yeah, of course there is. People are going to look them up. They're all on IMDb.
Sorry, one more because this is fucking great. Sorry, no, I just read it as I was saying. The name Snake Plissken was changed to Hyena for the Italian release and Cobra in South Korea.
No, fair
Hyena Plissken?
Hyena,
or just Hyena
Plissken.
So if he was Hyena in the, I understand Cobra, but if he was Hyena in the Italian release, isn't it a bit weird if he's got a snake tattooed on his?
It is, yeah. I'm sure it's like a translation thing. Maybe snake sounds too much like fucking douche in Italian or something like that. It's one of those things we just don't think about. But Hyena is still kind of cool in and of itself, but he does have a snake tattoo on his stomach. So yeah, it does confuse matters somewhat. Hugs the Future remake sequel, Let It Die, Leave Well Alone. I would still, to this day, take another sequel. If Carpenter and Kurt Russell wanted to run it back and give this another bash, I'm like, I have no confidence it's going to work, but let's be clear. It's not like, oh, they knocked out the park twice. We don't want to ruin the legacy. The last film was ass. It's like, yeah, give it another go. Like, don't get me wrong. You might end up doing, the Dial of Destiny and just burying it further. But I'm like, yeah, I'd take an old ass Snake movie for sure.
This is an interesting one because yes, I would definitely take an old snake escaping from something else, probably Earth, because they keep pitching it. But I'd also take a remake
with his son, maybe.
Well, I mean, it's funny because I was watching because they're just doing press tour for
where he's playing. Legacy, they're both playing the same character.
Yeah, was it Monarch or Monarch, whatever you want to say it. And that's come up a few times on some of their press tour. Like, would you want to play Jack Burton? And he said it's funny because people keep asking me this, but I'm older now than my dad was when he played these characters.
Yeah, totally.
Which again, when you look at it like that, is fucking insane because he's like he's younger than us.
Yeah. But he must be like mid to late 30s, I think.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I could see him doing it. I mean,
35 when he did this.
I'm a big fan of Wyatt Russell's film Overlord.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And I can see him like in that film. I can see him doing some Kurt Russell stuff. So yeah, I take him as a.
I thought he was especially good in what was the last Marvel film? Because it was one of the few Marvel films recently that I've really enjoyed, and he was great
Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts, yeah, because obviously he was in Bucky and the Winter Soldier. Sorry, no, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, the TV show. He was fine in that.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like the suit wasn't great. He looked a little bit goofy, and the show was just totally like whatever. It wasn't terrible. It was just forgettable. Fine.
Yeah.
Whereas in that movie, he was just more badass. He had some great choreography. He looked cool, and he was such a dick, and he was fantastic. And all of a sudden, like the idea of him playing an anti-hero, you're like, oh yeah, I can totally see it, 100%.
And you can see his acting chops getting better in every film. But is he is he good enough to lead? Like, is he good enough to lead a film? Which is the question. But also, you don't need a lot. It could still be a low budget film. Don't Escape from Earth. Escape from New York again. Remake it.
I don't want him to do Escape from Earth. I don't want to see the space version.
No. If you were going to do a sequel, if you're doing a proper sequel with old Kurt, there's not many things you're escaping from now. So Escape from the OEP home.
I would say I would feel like Escape from America or something like that. I just don't. I don't want it to go like full sci-fi and Escape from Earth. I just don't.
That's what John Carpenter wanted.
I prefer. Yeah, I know, but I would prefer to say relatively lo-fi, like kind of small budget. But anyway, whether it be a prequel or a sequel, I'd probably take either of those. To be honest, if you gave me the choice, I'd probably take a sequel. I'd probably
So
want
what
to
we're
see
trying to
Kurt
say,
Russell.
yeah, no, I get that, and like I said, I would see a sequel, but I'd
Mhm.
happily see a remake. I guess what I'm trying to say is more
Not sequel,
Snake.
sorry, remake, my apologies. Yeah,
Yeah, more Snake. Yeah,
More Snake for sure. Make a change. If you're going to make one change to make this movie better, for me, it's easy. It's improved choreography. I know we've been quite forgiving because we like so much of what the movie's about. We like the tone, the aesthetic, the characters. But the fact of the matter is, the fight choreography, the shootouts, the chases, everything, it's not wonderful, especially by
yeah,
today's standards.
yeah.
So if I was going to
Agreed.
improve something, 100% the choreography.
For me, it's give the Duke a defining moment. Yeah, Isaac Hayes is magnetic, but the Duke never gets a true showcase scene, like a duel, a speech, a psychological showdown. It's like anything to elevate him from cool concept to all-time villain.
No, no, I agree. That's the one thing he is genuinely missing. He's like a
Yeah.
cool character. He's got the dope car. He's got the hat, the fucking jacket. It's Isaac Hayes. I've
He's got the
mentioned numerous
name,
times.
he's
Everything.
got
He's
the
got
cult of
everything.
Duke.
But if you exactly your point, if you said to me now, it's like, what's your favorite Duke moment? I'm just like, I don't know. I think like he looks cool, but he doesn't do really
Yeah.
anything.
Don't have the president do it. Have Snake kill him, and as he kills him, say Duke of New York, A number one, or wherever it was he said. Do you know?
Something along those
Yeah.
lines. I was thinking like a character I always kind of like. Maybe it's just because it was a similar timeline. You think of what was the name of the character from The Warriors, and he has that moment where he's like, "Can you dig it?" kind of thing. You just feel
Oh,
like he,
Cyrus, the
sorry,
leader.
yeah,
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you. Another movie we should really cover on this
yeah,
podcast.
yeah,
But you feel like he needed that moment, like maybe like a big speech or something like
yeah.
that, like an iconic moment, and
Because
he's got an
everyone's willing to.
iconic look.
Sorry,
Like yeah, everyone's willing to fight for him, but you never see quite enough to justify
no,
like why everyone's
and
willing
that's what I
to.
was thinking. Is everyone's willing to follow him
Mhm.
across the bridge with the
Yeah,
president out
yeah.
front, even though it's mined,
Mhm.
because they're believing in the brain. But he doesn't do anything in film to make me feel like their their blind loyalty is warranted.
And that's we talked about this before about like establishing a character. The perfect example for me was always Daniel Craig in Casino Royale, where everyone had
Yes.
these doubts about Daniel Craig's like, oh, is he Bond? And then they were like, we'll fucking show them. And you have that opening kind of back to back sequence where you're just like, oh yeah, he's James Bond, and this is the kind of Bond he is. And you get it with villains. Like the classic one is Darth Vader, to bring it back to Star Wars. You don't get him by name. He walks in, you get the music, he chokes a dude out, and you're like, that guy's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Everyone's scared of him. You just immediately assume everyone's terrified of him because look at him. The Duke needed something early doors, which is just like establish him as whether it be a psycho or as like you say, kind of willing to go that extra mile or an inspirational speaker or something. Instead, he's cool, but is that enough? Probably
Yeah.
not. So yeah, I totally agree. So let's fix both of those things. I think they both need fixing, actually. We won't
Agreed.
make one change, we'll make two changes. In terms of video games, surprisingly, no Escape from New York video game. But if you were going to make one, the obvious answer, of
the obvious
course,
choice, yeah.
is Metal Gear Solid. I guess the big question is, what would you go for? Would you go for like the old school 8-bit ones, the Metal Gear games? Would you go the kind of PlayStation 2 era Metal Gear Solid games where it's kind of top down and much more in a kind of confined area? Or would you go for the PlayStation 4, 5 kind of ground zero Metal Gear Solid 5 where you have the big open
So
world?
those 4 or 5 big open world ones, they're more for me your
Five,
third
sorry,
one. Yeah.
four, two, three, four are the kind of Metal Gear Solid series. They're still of this similar ilk, I think.
Yeah, the PlayStation 4 and 5 I meant is
Yeah,
they're more of the your idea for a third film, Older Snake.
yeah.
If I'm looking at it, because I've got
Well,
Metal
they
Gear as
actually
well.
did Old Snake in Metal Gear Solid 4. Metal Gear
Yeah,
Solid 4, you are literally playing Old Snake. It's like, so,
yeah.
yeah.
But if I'm going with it now, I'm going with the original 1998. Sorry, not the original,
The
the
first Metal
1998,
Gear
the
Solid
first
game.
Metal Gear Solid game.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Uh, I mean, Kojima didn't hide the inspiration. Snake Plissken was
No,
Solid Snake. But
smoking, the
and
voice,
it's the
everything.
absolute shared DNA as well. The lone operative infiltrating hostile territory, anti-government themes, the tech that barely works,
Memorable
a hero that
characters.
sounds permanently annoyed, a world where every plan collapses immediately. It's basically it is that we've already got an Escape from a New York game, and it's Metal Gear Solid.
No, it
So
is. And I was trying to decide if it was Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear Solid 2, where, obviously you become Raiden, blah, blah, blah. But I think of the opening sequence on the tanker. which is
Yeah.
like the almost like a prologue. And I was like, that is very Escape from New York. But I think the correct answer is what you say there, a Metal Gear Solid, the
Yeah.
one, the 1998 one for the original
Voiced
PlayStation.
voiced by Guyver fame,
Oh,
David.
of course,
Yeah.
Guyver. And if you're
Yeah.
wondering if we covered the Guyver on this podcast, yes, we have. Please do search
Well,
that.
Guyver 2, Dark Hero. We haven't done the first one with Mark
Of
Hamill.
course, my apologies,
Yeah.
my apologies.
Yeah.
The only other option, and it's more to do with the setting and the fact that it's had a bit of a comeback recently, is Ubisoft's The Division. Now,
Literally, honorable mention, The Division.
oh, there we
Had
go.
that as
There
well.
we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the Division 2, one of my big issues, and I played quite a bit of the Division 2, but the reason I didn't like the Division 2 as much as the original Division is because they moved to Washington, DC, and
Yeah.
it's simply put not as interesting a location as New York. They went back to New York for the DLC, and I'm just like, man, you could totally make an Escape from New York DLC because they've got the assets. Like their interpretation of Manhattan is still the best in video games. Like there's nothing close to it. Even 10 years later, and especially now where it's been upgraded, so it's got 60 frames per second, all that other good stuff. It looks amazing to this day. And you're just like, man, if you could put Snake Plissken in that world, I'm all for it. You can almost do like a kind of DLC where it's like player versus player, but it's like one person gets to play as Snake and everyone else has to play soldiers. You know, when those asymmetrical multiplayer games.
It's one of it's like they've done those horror games at the moment where one person
those ones
one person spawns as Mike Myers and everyone else.
But this is like the opposite of that. So instead of like one character who's a badass, it's basically one character who has to sneak past everyone else, which maybe isn't so fun for everyone. But I mean, I like when I play the Division, I don't really play it online. I quite like playing through the story, the single player stuff. And every so often you have a mission where you join in with a few people, but that was basically it. So if you could get Snake into Ubisoft's interpretation of New York, I'm all for it. So we totally agree. It is Metal Gear Solid, but with a hint of Ubisoft's The Division.
Yeah.
IMDb, so this is where we pick a random 10-star and 1-star review for this movie. This is going to be an interesting one. There has to be a lot of reviews for this film, right?
There's
350.
Oh, I was going to say not as many as you think, but more than you think. 463.
Okay, I can live with 350. Yeah. I know I'm still over 100 off, but it's not too bad. 463 of those, how many are 10-star? I think it's going to be quite a few. 57.
94.
Oof, a lot of love. Lot of love for Snake Plissken.
Yeah. So this one titled They Don't Make Them Like This Anymore. If you haven't seen John Carpenter's 1981 film Escape from New York, you're missing out. This is Carpenter at his best, mixing sci-fi, cult, western, and always his famous political commentary. Made in 81, EFNY takes place in 1997, and New York is a crime haven reserved for only the most infamous of criminals. Kurt Russell plays Snake Plissken, a former war hero turned criminal. Plissken is... I'm not going to keep reading it because he's basically just telling us exactly what happened in the film. We've already...
So 10-star, this is the movie.
I keep doing that because I really should check them, but I'm not going to. But
well, that's part of the fun usually is you reading it alongside. But yeah, sometimes it is just a synopsis. So yeah, sometimes we'll just cut them short. In terms of 1-star reviews, there cannot be that many, man. 12?
Oh, fucking hell, 12. You've done it. You've done it. You've done it. We can retire.
Finally, I've come close a few times. So that totally makes up for me being 100 off the number of... Although I do find the written review part the hardest because some of them are so wildly inconsistent. The fact that I nailed it with 12, I feel over the moon. Although those 12 people who gave this 1 star, man, that's a bold statement.
Well, this one in particular, like just from the title, sounds like he's going to be a psycho. Dull, awful, unbearable.
Oof.
Yeah. Dear John Carpenter, your film was crap. Your background score was worse than the film.
He's framing it as a letter.
Yes.
So personal.
The score almost put me to sleep during the title sequence itself. Sinister sounding, but tuneless beats played at regular intervals is not music. Okay? Snake Plissken was an interesting creation. He did mouth some amusing dialogues. Kurt Russell did a great job, I guess. But the rest of the cast was wasted completely. You made Lee Van Cleef look like a middle-class uncle. The great Ernest Borgnine was a goofy taxi driver in a B-movie. That role could have been played by anyone. Donald Pleasance played a token one-dimensional evil US president. Harry Dean Stanton had that ridiculous costume on, and he seemed to sleepwalk through the role. Some of the visuals were interesting. I mean, you were obviously aiming for a very consistent visual style throughout the film. But the awful acting and costumes made the film very hard to watch. Also, the film did not have a single action scene worth remembering. This was worse than In the Mouth of Madness. Best
Oh,
regards,
dude.
yes. Best regards, Pimpin. I don't usually say their names, but his handle is Pimpin ain't easy. But
Pimpin ain't easy.
ain't spelled with two T's.
Yeah, that's rough going. And the fact that,
Yeah.
it just flack for In the Mouth of Madness, another fantastic movie, is rough. So,
Again, like a film, we both like we're not going to be able to sit and watch a film with this dude, a John Carpenter film. I got a feeling that he probably hates The Thing.
yeah. And the thing is, literally all the stuff he criticizes,
Yeah,
all the reasons that I really enjoyed this film, which brings us to our own scores and recommendations. It's a bit of an interesting one because we've had a few recently where it's been like, we did Hard Rain last week, and we're like, it's
yeah.
so 3-star, massively flawed. Would I recommend it? 100% yes. This movie is a 4-star film back to front, despite its, there are some issues, but this is a wonderful film for the most part. But I wouldn't recommend it. I would not recommend it to I would recommend it to you. I'd recommend it to like film fans. I know that sounds douchey, but you know what I mean. But just like a random dude in work, I just think there's too much of a barrier. This film, as you mentioned, as glorious as it looks in many respects, it does look like an early 80s movie, an early 80s low budget movie at that. And I just think if you're not kind of willing to overlook those things or embrace them as we do to a certain extent, I think it would just be too high a barrier for a lot of people. So I would say a 4 and a no from me.
We're pretty much on the same space. I was going to give it a 3.5, but I think I will give it a 4.
Yeah, I would, dude. I was exactly the same. I was like, do I give this 3.5? And then, like, the further I got, like, when I started the film, about 10, 15 minutes, I was like, it's probably a 3. And it slowly inched its way up to a 4. But the no was
Yeah.
always consistent for me.
Yes, and absolutely, because this is not a film that you can I recommend this to anyone, and they'll come back to me and go, "What the fuck was that?" Like,
Yeah.
this is a genre fan, a film fan, definitely, but anyone, no. So it'd be a no from me,
Mhm.
uh, but I guess a begrudging no, because I
Yeah,
still
yeah,
think
it is
this
a
is a four
begrudging.
star film.
Yeah.
But
Like I would, it's
I
one of
can't
those
feel like,
selective
yeah,
recommendations,
yeah,
isn't it? Like you said, it's
yeah.
like, if like I said, like if you had never seen this movie before, I'd be like, oh, dude, you should totally watch this movie, 100%. But I'm not going out. I'm like even my wife, for instance, who she often watches these movies with me. Beforehand, I was just like, I don't think she wants to watch this. And
No,
after
no,
rewatching it, I'm just like, I don't think she would have necessarily even enjoyed it. I don't think she
yeah.
would have hated it, but I'm not telling her it's like, oh no,
My
Bethany, you really need to watch
yeah.
this movie with me this week.
My knowledge of your wife, I think she would have been polite and just sat there, and then just at the end of it,
Oh,
going,
she
"What
would
the
have been
fuck was
lovely.
that?"
Yeah,
Like,
she would.
yeah,
What happens with my wife is she's not particularly enjoying the film. What she does, she shows that she's being like, she's being helpful. So what she does is she'll look up facts as we're watching the movie,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden I realize 40 minutes in she's still looking at her phone and she's moved on from facts to just her phone and she's not really paying attention anymore. But God
It's
bless her
rather,
heart, she'll stay in the
it's
room.
like, and this is one hell of a tangent. It's like watching Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives with Guy Fieri, right?
Wow, we didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, because you know when he loves something because
Mhm, mhm.
he will talk about what's in it and the flavor profiles. But if he doesn't like it, he'll say, "Oh, okay, that was nice," and then move on. He won't go too much
Yeah,
into
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he won't say he hates it, but
Mhm.
he won't dig about what he
Yeah,
likes
yeah.
about it.
Beth will
So
stay in
yeah,
the room, but she just won't interact with the film. And at the end, I'll be
yeah,
like, "Oh, do you enjoy the film? It was okay." Or you always know that the universal sign is you're watching a movie together. Bethan decides, "Oh, I want a cup of tea, or I'm going to pop to the toilet." I'm like, "Oh, do you want me
yeah,
to pause it?" No, it's okay. I'm like, all right,
yeah.
that's the clearest sign ever. Because if I'm
I
watching a film and I'm enjoying it, and I leave to go to the bathroom or something, I was like, "Of course I want you to pause it." If you don't give a shit, it's like if we're watching like the Great British Bake Off, and I get up to make a cup of tea, and Beth's like, "Do you want to pause?" I'm like, "It's fine. I'll
no,
be
you're right.
okay."
I
Yeah.
love. I'm gonna love your conversation later. Oh, how was recording Escape from New York, love? Oh, it was fine. Rob compared you to Guy Fieri.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Didn't see that one coming. Did
yeah.
not see that. And I'm going to go on record to say that is the first time that has ever happened to my wife. Yeah. So that has been 1981's Escape from New York. That was my choice. Next week is your choice, sir.
Yeah. Uh, I kind of apologize, but also I'm not apologizing for
There we
next
go.
week.
Here we go.
I've wanted for a while to cover some films from Full Moon Entertainment.
Full Moon Entertainment.
Yeah, it's a production company from like
Okay.
way back when. Like one of their favorite directors was like Albert Pian, who
Okay. Okay.
gave us
Okay.
Cyborg. Like they gave us the Puppet Master films, things like
Yep.
that.
Yep. Yep.
I couldn't pick one, so I'm going to give you the choice. But I'm not going to
Okay.
do the game. I'm not going to give you the year. I'm just going to give you the titles, and
Okay.
I'm
Go
going to
for
let
it.
you pick. So the first one from 1991 is Dollman.
I have heard of Dollman. Never had
Yeah,
the pleasure. Okay.
nope. The second one from 1994 is Shrunken Heads.
Again, Heard of it? Never had the
Yeah.
pleasure.
So whichever one you don't pick, we're going to do somewhere down the line. But I would like you to pick.
I
I'll
would
give you a
like.
couple of the actors if this helps you. So Doll Man has Tim Thomerson, who you may or may not know. You'd know his face, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
But Jackie Earl Haley is in this.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Frank Doubleday Romero
yeah,
is
yeah,
in
yeah.
this. Shrunken Heads has there's top billed Julius
Mhm.
Harris, who was Speedbagger in Rollerboys, and second build Meg Foster as Big Mo.
Yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. I
And
mean,
if this helps as well, one of these films is 82 minutes, the other film is 86 minutes.
I'm actually going to go with the 86-minute option because you sent me a trailer for
Shrunken
Dollman.
Heads.
No,
Shrunken Heads is
Dollman.
86.
Oh, I thought Dollman was
No,
Dollman
see.
on Google shows as 86 as well.
Oh, on IMDb it shows as 82. But
Oh
okay,
well,
we're going Doll Man, are we?
that's even better. But yeah, you sent me a trailer for Dollman, and all I remember from Dollman, it has quite a unique poster. That was the main thing I
Yeah.
remembered about it. But I never ended up renting it out. But the trailer looked suitably bonkers, if nothing else. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Dollman because I like jokes aside, I'm genuinely looking forward to watching this because when you sent me the trailer, I was like, listen, I'm not going to be picking this because I have no attachment to it. But the assumption was one day you were going to
Yeah.
pick Dollman for this
And
podcast.
let me get
like,
this.
I have no issue with that at all.
I haven't I haven't seen them. I
Mhm.
haven't seen this film, but this feels like a Rob film that I would have watched back as a kid.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but
100%, 100%.
and what's like Full Moon Entertainment, like I said, Puppet Master.
Mhm.
They had a bunch of films around this age. There was Demonic Toys, where a bunch of like killer toys in a
Can't remember
warehouse.
that one.
No, there was a film called Bad Channels, where aliens were taking over a radio show and shrinking women, and
Mhm,
Puppet Master. And then randomly, like late 90s, early 2000s, they decided to release. I think there's one called Dollman versus Demonic Toys, where Dollman goes to find one of the shrunken women from.
1993.
Oh, there you go. Dollman goes to find one of the shrunken women from Bad Channels
Mhm.
and helps fight against the demonic toys.
So this
And
was
then,
like the kind of first instance of like a kind of crossover universe. This is the
yeah,
Marvel universe
yeah.
before the Marvel
And then
universe.
further on, you get Puppet Master versus the demonic toys. And I remember Puppet Master had
Mhm.
Corey, the
Haim?
non-dead one, Feldman.
Oh, Corey Feldman. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, that sounded
Lovely way
really
to put
crass.
it.
The
Then
non-dead
that was
one.
a
Yeah.
little crass, but yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Got to the point.
Corey Feldman
Well, it's going to
was
be
in it.
an interesting watch that one because, and if you are like listening and going, "What the fuck is Dollman?" I would strongly suggest watching the trailer and considering listening next week because,
Well, I'd
excuse
strongly
me,
suggest watching the film. It's on Amazon Prime. Fucking free. Just go for it.
oh, it's on Amazon Prime as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome, awesome. Yeah, but
Tubi, Amazon Prime, all
if
of
you
them. Yeah.
needed a nudge in the right direction before committing to watching the film, I genuinely think if you watch the trailer, you'd be like, if you're listening to this podcast and you watch the trailer for Dollman, there's every chance you're gonna be like, I'm gonna watch Dollman. And especially like you say, if it's available on Amazon Prime, for most people, that's gonna be free to watch. Yeah, great shout. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
But FYI, sooner rather than later, we're doing Shrunken Heads because again, I've been wanting to watch that for a while.
It's in the post. I've got a couple of chintzy movies, maybe not as chintzy as that, on my list to cover over the next few weeks. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think I'm going to top Dollman or the Puppet. Was it Puppet Master? Did you say?
No, Shrunken Heads.
Drunken Head. Sorry, that
Shrunken
was the
Heads.
other one.
Yeah.
I do apologize. But yeah, so next week is Dollmaster. But this week has been 1981's Escape from New York. Dare I say, probably a better movie than Dollman. But will it be more fun? Will it be more fun? We don't know. We'll
That's
find out
that's
next
the
week.
interesting thing, is there? Like fundamentally, I would say Escape from New York is a better film.
Yeah.
But which film did I have more fun with? Which we'll find out next week.
Well, that's the thing. Like we've said so many times before. Like I've we've rewatched movies on this where I've given it 4 stars. I'm like, it's a great movie. But if you ask me, like, which ones do I want to rewatch again? A lot of them probably end up being 3-star movies. Where like, listen, like, that had loads of problems, but it's just so much fun to watch. Again, to bring it back, just another kind of plug for last week's podcast when we did Hard Rain. It's like Hard Rain has loads of problems. It's clearly a 3-star film. So much fun. So much
agreed.
fun.
Agreed.
So yeah, and like if you ask me, like, I reckon 6 months from now, what do I want to rewatch? Escape from New York or Hard Rain? I'd be like, I might rewatch Hard Rain, dude.
Yeah.
Escape from New York is bad though. Okay, I've been Liam, he's been Rob, and you've been listening to the Hey Goes podcast. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Oh, and before I forget, where can folk reach us if they were so inclined to?
Well, you can actually reach us on Hey You Guys 80s at Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. But if you want to send us a mail, do heyyouguys80s@gmail.com. Send us in your recommendations. Send us in your thoughts about any of the episodes. Just literally talk to us. We'll have a one-sided talk with you on the podcast.
Yeah. We're nice folk. Get in touch. But no, cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.